When the doctor entered the room to tell my patient that his prostate antigen levels were extremely high, it meant one thing. It meant that my patient had prostate cancer. And there was a straight shot plan with this condition. It is to remove the prostate and to start chemotherapy to hopefully remove any cancer cells that could be left in the system. That's the path that this patient needed to take. However, in 5 years, this is going to be a different path for a lot of Americans in similar shoes. With the new healthcare reform law, they are going to have to wait for a healthcare advisory panel to weigh the factors with every patient. With the patient's age, his overall health, his prognosis, a board of personnel that have no ties to this patient will decide on whether or not that patient gets the procedures and medicine that he needs to stay alive. That is the true ramifications of the new healthcare reform law. My name is Josh Dennis, and today I'm going to talk about why the healthcare law is unconstitutional, why it's bad for America, and why it handcuffs the providers, nurses, and technicians that are trying to give healthcare to the people of America. You know, it's real easy to look at this law on the outside and not dive too deep into it and say, hey, this is great. Everybody in America will have health care. However, it is not that simple. Now let me get into legality reasons of why this is wrong. The Supreme Court ruled last week that to make this happen and to force people to pay for this insurance, that it would be ruled as being a tax. This is where I have the issues. It is illegal, according to Article 1, Section 9 of the U.S. Constitution, for the federal government to just tax its people without performing a census first, also known as a vote. Going out into the public and finding popular numbers that can be verified through voting. This did not happen. The federal government created a law, and the U.S. Supreme Court stated it would need to be a tax to be lawful. However, the steps did not go through to make the new tax legal. This is why I feel, in my personal opinion, that this law is not legal based off of Article 1, Section 9 of the U.S. Constitution. You know, 235 years ago we had a saying, no tax without representation. It should be now, taxation without hesitation, to be quite honest with you. Another thing we need to look at is the federal government's power over the states. The states have been charged with managing and control over its people, not the government. There's 50 states that control the people of their state. The federal government should have total oversight, but they should not be going into the state and telling its people what to do without the state's blessing. The healthcare law has broken that. What should have happened is what happened with Massachusetts when the governor in the state passed a healthcare bill for its state's people. This is not what's happened. This is a federal law that affects the entire country that was not passed through the states. That is another issue I have with this law. Now that we've talked about the tax issues, we have to also look at how is this going to affect your provider, your doctor, your nurse practitioner, your PA, your nurses, your technicians. You know, medicine is a practice, and everyone says that, but if you really think about what the word practice means, it means that doctors and providers, they get their medical degree, and then they learn through the years how they like to practice medicine. However, now, with this new healthcare reform law, they're taking the practice out of medicine, and they are going to tell the providers, if the patient has this issue, you did this, this, and this, and that is it. An example of why this will affect patients, if someone comes in with hyperlipidemia, also known as high cholesterol, before, if the doctor believed that they may have had this for years, they would have ordered other tests to look for the conditions that may have been caused from the high cholesterol. Now, they're just going to treat the high cholesterol. There will be no tests done to check to see if there's coronary artery damage in that patient's heart related from the cholesterol. This could lead to patients having heart attacks. This is just one small example of something that could be missed with this new healthcare law. You know, it is never good before, it is never good for the state, for the government to tell doctors how to practice. And that is what's happening now. Today we talked about why I feel it's unconstitutional, why it's going to negatively infect the people of this country, and why it's bad for the doctors when they're practicing the medicine. I hope that everyone out there does their research and finds out how it affects them, and they can make an educated decision when they go and they cast their votes. Because these are my opinions, so I hope everyone does their own research. But this is how I believe, and I feel that healthcare reform law that was just passed and just ruled by the Supreme Court last week that they can tax the people to actually pay for this is unconstitutional. U.S. Constitution, Article 1, Section 9. Please go out there and do your own research and make your own educated decisions on how you feel about this law. But just know that this law will be bad for America's patients, and I hope and pray that something gets done about this in the future. Please let me know if you have any questions. You can reply to the video. You can send me an email. I'd love to talk to you about this. Thank you, and thank you for listening, and have a great day. Bye.